LinkedIn Echo Chamber. We're back with Phil Law, who's here to talk us through an applied machine learning example. And it's exciting because it's in the digital channel at the end. So, Phil, welcome back. I wanted you to come. Your last time you were with me, you were telling me how machine learning is hard and that there's data problems, people problems, and tech problems. On the tech problem side, invariably there's two sides to that. How do you actually do it? And how do you implement the data science or machine learning that you're even working on? But you had an example for me as a way around that. So I wanted you to come back on, tell everybody what it was, how it worked, and what you did. So could you introduce the project that you were thinking of and just give us a little bit of detail about it?
Yeah, sure. Just before I do, I think it's important to say machine learning and AI. It's such a huge area, and it starts from right at the very beginning to sort of all this super generative AI stuff. And it's about starting small and slowly building up and learning. So this problem was actually very simple. So it was at Mercedes, and they have a website. People browse cars on there's a website. People are browsing around. They're looking at different cars. And we wanted to try and nudge the customer to actually book a test drive or actually go into a dealership. Previously it was just so we'll visit the website, would retarget them with an ad. It was as simple as that. So they looked at car A, we showed them an ad for car A. Looked at car B, we showed them an ad for car B. But what we knew is wasn't very efficient. How could we use machine learning to do this? And we didn't want to buy loads of tech. We just wanted to run it from end to end, from getting our data to actually having a result, to actually having a number to show. If we implemented this, we can increase revenue by X. So just to come back to the website again. So you're browsing around cars, you browse around car A, B, C. Now we knew, for example, from customer research and stuff, that people would look at certain cars and group, almost come into like customer groupings. Like, are you looking for a saloon car? Are you looking for a 4x4? So we wanted to really kind of push them, and we knew how far along the journey they were as well. So you look at the product, you actually go to the costing page, and then you actually book a test drive. So it's actually the different products and also how far along they are along the funnel. So you want to push them along. So all we did was we took a sample of data, say 3 months, extracted it all, and then for each customer was just one row of data, and we just had things like how many car times they looked at car A, how many car times they looked at car B, the location, what some of the how far along the funnels were they at, how many times they've been on section 1, section 2. Then we just did this in Excel. We downloaded all the data, we flattened it so each customer was one row. Then we got Python. We found just a vanilla standard clustering Python script that someone else had written. We ran the data through, and then we came out of all these clusterings that people who book car A would spend this much time and they do this. So then we had all this kind of insights, and then so how do we then apply that? So we had Adobe Target on there, and all we did was effectively write a heuristic rule, a set of rules to say, if this customer hits these 3 targets, show them ad for this car. If they've done these 3 things based on all that machine learning out, and we just ran it. We'd set up a test. Group A, we didn't do anything. Group B, we showed them this new rule system. We ran it, and we got like a really, really great uplift. So we ran it from beginning to end. It took us. It wasn't super easy, but it took us like a good couple of weeks to set it up, a couple of weeks to run. We had a result in a month, and then the business could make a decision on whether to go forward.
That's really interesting. So the part I like is, I'm in the marketing space, and there'll be lots of marketers looking at this. It's a bit of a joke, isn't it, about retargeting? Like, I look at something and it kind of follows me around, and I sort of feel the same, and always, I'm on the data side wondering what can be done about this, because it's always, I know then you can drive the conversion, but it's like for something as serious as a car, I sometimes worry. It's like, does the customer really have zero recall of what they just did? They're looking at a vehicle that's, I don't know what, £20,000 plus. This ad is following them saying, hey, remember this vehicle? They for sure remember the vehicle. It's a very considered purchase. So I was always never, when it's in that space, these bits of retargeting, I'm not so sure, how well it applies there. It's almost like I'm a bit concerned. It sort of treats the customer as an idiot It's almost like if you're showing different features and benefits of the vehicle, and I suppose that's the direction that you would take it, that gets a bit more interesting. But just little nudges of the same vehicle that is a £20,000 purchase, I was always unsure about. So you are saying what you were able to do is start to build clusters, and you knew a collection of vehicles that might
Yeah.
apply to that user, and that would be the way you kind of surface, hey, you just looked at hatchback A, but there's hatchback B and C. So you begin to kind of hedge your bets as to customers interested in the category, and we believe we can drive more test drives by simply surfacing more options that the customer may not have seen yet, which is the key part. They may not have seen that hatchback C was an option, or they may not have seen that during their session. Is that how it worked?
Well, that's exactly what we found. It was kind of where we were looking at data, the way we summarized it was kind of like exactly that someone would go look at a car, but actually showing them different cars, and it kind of pulls them back in. Also, a lot of people, it sounds weird, like retargeting works. Well, this is the thing. Does it work? Like, people wouldn't do it if it doesn't work.
Yep.
And it's like, you just most people it's just annoying. I guess a lot of people it is annoying, but it's like 10% or 15% that has maybe gone off, and you're pulling them back in, and just pulling them back in when they're still in the purchase funnel. I mean, one of the really interesting ones about this is one of the big uses for this, or what we found, of like getting rid of all, like, we call them, like, the people who weren't interested. We found a lot of people actually, because with cars, there's such a huge purchase. Actually, there's a lot of people are looking to go on the buy, but a lot of people are just having a look at some cars. They go, oh, I've got my new car. They've released this car. I'm going to go have a look. I'm just interested because they're just petrol heads and stuff. And actually, a huge amount of traffic was just people browsing around and looking, and actually could tease out the more serious people as well. So that suppressed the spend and allowed you to spend a bit more on the good people as well. But yeah, I think I'm in the same as you. I bought a lawnmower 3 years ago, John, and that lawnmower still intermittently follows me around the internet after years. If like, it's some sort of Amazon, something I bought on Amazon, and they've obviously cooked me up every time I'm on Amazon, so they just follows me around and haunts me. I bought it.
Awesome.
I bought that lawnmower on Amazon, and they still, yeah.
It's awesome that you've said it. There's a thing of like, hey, I actually bought this. So there's a limit on how many lawnmowers that I need. So there's one retargeting problem. But I'm glad you brought this up so I could defend myself. I was expecting, all the digital marketers that I know to come at me of like, hey, retargeting is really important for us and really cost effective. Despite your opinion, Conway, on is it relevant to keep showing the same product? So look, it sounds like you've just backed me up slightly there.
Well, the thing is, it does work.
Yeah. It does. Hey, Phil, you skipped over something at the end of your discussion that I think is very relevant here. So on nearly all discussions I have, there's always the thing of, data science is hard to implement. It requires working with others. It requires connectivity between pieces of technology. And that's the thing can be a bit excruciating. I thought I heard you said that this was really, you took a fast approach to be able to run this type of POC. So it sounded like you've got a clustering model here, and then you talked about rules. So is this that you were profiling and studying clusters in that, where the cluster analysis was built, but you're taking those findings and applying them simply into the digital platform so that you can run the experiment? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, that's right. So on this one, it was just basically, we almost like did some analysis. We used machine learning techniques. We basically did some analysis, found some clusters we think that, and that was the thing. It told us what to do rather than us kind of going for every single variable, which like analysts can do. We just took those rules and we just applied it across. And there was this whole piece of work. I think there's this whole thing about running in real time. People want it running in real time. Actually, if you're running it in real time, would the model get more information to actually get a better value? I mean, the plan was to actually do it like that further down the line, but it's like, get your learnings and then just type it into another system. Like, it was literally just typing it in a set of rules, and you're there. You've got something running that has actually used machine learning techniques.
Good.
And it came with things we never would have thought of. I mean, this whole thing about like types of car people. You're looking for an estate. You think you just show over estates. That is what a normal marketer would do. But actually, they might be going up to a slightly bigger car. So there are some weird things that popped out, and we just wouldn't say blindly. Well, we did kind of just put it in to see what would happen, and it did work. So
yeah, I suppose there's trajectory, isn't it? So often in what I've seen in transaction data is you can kind of have some life stagey things that are kind of part of it in particularly vehicles. So people are starting to upgrade from saloon to estate, or from hatchback to saloon. It's when the kids come and stuff like this. There's certain little other triggers around the customer's life stage and age that can create those linkages. So look, thank you for taking taking us through that. So I guess the important part was you could try to look at a machine learning approach and persevere with how to implement the whole thing, or in your case, try and identify how to fast track it by just looking at rules and patterns once the machine learning has established a structure, and then just carry on as fast as you can into your digital platform, marketing platform. That way you can start your experiments, prove the value, and I suppose decide if you want to come back and operationalize everything later.
Yeah.
That's probably the frugal way round, and certainly the quicker way round.
Yeah, and it helps you learn like what's going to be your biggest pain point. For example, it could be that the data, it could be the data's not up to scratch, but you could have spent 2 months building all these models, got to the end, ran it, and then realized your data's rubbish. So by doing it like just really fast, like as lean as you can, as fast as you can, to get something live, and then you can start building on top, as you say, John.
Phil, thanks for taking us through that. You're a fountain of knowledge. We hope to have you back on here soon. Ladies and gentlemen, this is ML's Like Team Spirit. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Gadon.